everyone. Glad you could join us tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about the history of SunPowerLED and discuss how I ended up coming up with the technology, and hope it encourages people to see how even a very long, drawn-out time of preparation has resulted in something really good. So, looking forward to getting into this tonight. And we also just mention again about the autism and Parkinson's. We're going to show a quick clip because many have asked about that as well. We have the draw of the ultimate device. That's a $1,300 device with the two wavelengths, 660 nanometer and 810 nanometer. And I want to congratulate Joe Connolly. He's our April winner. Our March winner hasn't got back to us, so we're going back and doing another draw for March. But the April winner is Joe Connolly. So Joe, congratulations on winning the Palm Ultimate. So now we're going to get into our short video, and then we'll come back and get into things. PBM stands for Photobiomodulation. Photo being light, bio being biology, and light, well, light coming from some kind of source. In this case, PBM is used to help stimulate healing in the body, whether it's an LED, whether it's a laser, whether it's the sun, but that light comes through the skin layers, and actually the cells are able to absorb that light, converting it to energy, and then there's a host of different processes that are stimulated because of that light. So you can speed up healing, you can do different things that is very beneficial for the cells themselves, for healing, for reduction of inflammation, and a host of other things. Kerber USA is a company that we have set up to promote healing for the US and around the world. We would like to see this technology help a lot of people. We use LED technology where we can provide high amounts of light into the body, and that stimulates healing. I'd like to introduce you to the SunPowerLED Palm Ultimate. This device here has the most power of the series of devices. This light can produce a huge amount of light that can enter into the body and help speed up that healing. In this device, we have two different wavelengths. It's 660 nanometer, and as you can see, it's very bright, but it's very effective. You will cause a systemic effect with this wavelength of light. The other wavelength is 810. It's not very visible, but it penetrates very deep, and that can help as well reach the target that you're trying to reach. The main part about this light is that we have the power behind it and the large surface area that can reach very deep into the body. We believe that our product is the most powerful LED cluster under the sun. We have specification of this device of 150 milliwatts per square centimeter, and that is over this entire area of 40 square centimeters. It also provides a wall of light that comes through the skin and is able to reach depths that have never been able to be done before with other light products on the market. There's an interesting biblical passage in Malachi 4:2 that talks about the healing that comes from the rays of the sun. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide healing with these rays. PBM has also been shown in various studies to be able to help promote healing in wounds such as diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers, and other areas where cuts or burns or other types of wounds are on the skin level. If you have any questions about PBM and how our light device, the SunPowerLED Palm series, can help you, please reach out to us. and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Well, once again, I'd like to congratulate the winner of the Ultimate for the month of April, Joe Connolly. So Joe, congratulations. And we will be trying to go again at the March, and somebody will win for the month of March. So anyways, now I want to get started with our talk tonight on the history of SunPower LED. So if you would have told me that you take this light and you shine it on your shoulder like that, well, not through clothing, obviously, it's got to go through, different, directly on the skin is best. But if you would have told me back about, well, probably now about 17 years ago that you shine this light and it gets rid of the pain or helps heal, I wouldn't have believed that. That would have been, I just couldn't see how that would ever be possible. But I do, just a little background. As a kid, and even today, I really, really enjoy chocolate. I also enjoy lots of sweets. And that's a downfall. The downfall is that I've had lots of cavities as growing up as a kid. So I would be constantly in the dentist chair, getting the fillings done. The old silver fillings were the beginning. Silver being mercury fillings. Okay, now they found out that the mercury leaches out over time and gives people problems. And some people can handle it and others can't. But anyways, that was my exposure to dentistry, being in the chair a lot of times. Now, what happened was I had about 35 years ago, I fell off a ladder, second floor height. I was on the ladder and I was pushing the storm window in to the top level of the house. And when I did, the ladder took off and I fell onto concrete. That was extremely bad flying lessons that day. And I didn't break anything, thankfully, but I did injure my L4, L5 disc on my lower back and discs. And what happened was every year, 2 years, I would go through severe pain for 3, 4, or 5 months. And it would be the muscle spasms. Let's say if I reached over and I just happened to go a certain position and pick up a piece of paper, all of a sudden that muscle spasm would just, all of a sudden you just feel it and all of a sudden, bang, it's just like all over the back. So extreme pain. So that kind of set that part of the stage of pain for me. And as we were newly married, have been in business for 45 years. In the electronic business, we've designed all kinds of devices over the years for other companies. And so as time rolled along, we were able to have, my wife and I, we have 3 children. And hey, now we have 11 grandchildren. As a matter of fact, one of them still has to show up sometime in June. But it's been exciting to have these little guys around. And so I'm being of a German background, I'm Opa. My wife is Oma. So there we go. We got a lot of neat grandchildren. And anyways, so but after the 3, my wife had the 3rd child, and I was also being self-employed, going through a lot of difficulty in business. And you get people that ask you to do certain things and then they don't pay you, or something goes wrong and it costs a lot of money to try and fix something. Whatever, it can be a very, very difficult road. And in my case, we never had savings. We had our savings were on the credit card. No, not really. Negative savings. So it was a very, very difficult path to try and run a business, have a young family, and then through all the stresses that we had, pressures on our life, my wife developed hyperthyroidism, and her thyroid, she had problems with that. We were able to get it through the medical system under control. We decided even at that time, we decided that the thyroid must be there for a reason, and it's not something that you should just try and kill off with radioactive iodine or with surgery. But she did well on the blocking drug for like 5 years, so she did quite well with that. But at around the 5-year mark, she started reacting to the blocking drug, and she broke out in hives across her whole body. And so we started looking for solutions. So as we looked for those solutions, we're trying everything, and eventually, after a little while, she ended up having thyroid surgery to remove the thyroid. We were told that all you need to do is remove the thyroid and all the other problems will go away. Well, we removed the thyroid, but now things even got worse. There was a period of time, about 1.5 years, when my wife was bedridden, and it was very difficult with the kids being very young. I was trying to look after her, look after the children. We had help from my grandparents, or my parents, both sides, and tried to help us through that all. But very, very difficult time in our lives. And so we were looking at other natural ways to try and improve her health. And all of this is a background to tell you how this all came together. It'll make sense in a minute. But we had sought many different doctors to try and figure out how we could improve her health, because the thyroid being gone didn't solve other issues that were going on. So from that, what happened is I believe that God has a way to get our attention in different ways. And in this case, I had spent lots of time in prayer for my wife and all the things that were going on. And anyways, one day at my one facility, 2 different people, because I had different clients coming in they wanted, people would want me to design something for them electronically. So I had 2 different people show up at my facility, and they both mentioned that I should see this one doctor about a half an hour away. And they didn't know each other, so they weren't telling each other, but to have 2 people say the same doctor a half an hour away. Now we're in we have a fairly high population around us. So to drive a half an hour, there's a lot of doctors in a half an hour. But hey, I heard this and I thought, I wonder, I should give this a try. So my wife and I went down to see him. And at that point in dentistry, just prior to about 3 years prior, as I mentioned, I developed all sorts of electronic devices. So being in the area that I am, I would have different manufacturers have their salesmen call on me, and they would bring me the latest, greatest little electronic device of whatever, like certain diodes or capacitors or transistors or integrated circuits or whatever. And they'd say, can you use microprocessors? Can you use this somehow? And so some of those things we would use in our development of different products for other companies. In this one case, the one salesperson came down to me from a company called Future Active, and they brought a little box about that big, and in it had LEDs in it. And this was the first time ever that there was high power LEDs. You usually had an LED with just a little indicator like you used to see on radios and TVs, just a little small spot of light. But this one, you push the button and it would be very, very bright. So I thought, wow, this is something. But when I heard the price of it, one single LED was $70. Now, just to put that in perspective, if you put 3 of them together, it'd make as much light as a 100-watt light bulb. So now you're talking raw cost of $200 to make a 100-watt light bulb. Absolutely nobody's going to buy one of those devices. I mean, you could have 5 of them. They showed for a tail light. Well, 5 of these red high power LEDs, like nobody's going to buy a tail light that's the raw cost is $350. Maybe if it was $3.50, automotive manufacturers might look at it, but not $350. So what could you use this very, very powerful LED for? Well, go back to my story of the dentist chair being in the dentist's office lots of times. They started using the new filling material. That is where you pack the tooth full of this compound, white compound, and then they would use a halogen bulb to shine light on the tooth. But the light wasn't just white light, it was actually filtered. They put a blue filter in there. So it's actually a white halogen bulb inside this unit, and they'd have a blue filter in there, and that blue light would go into the tooth material and harden it. And I had no problem understanding that light could activate a compound, because there's lots of they use light activated ultraviolet cured glues. There's also the Bondo material that you use a special light for that used ultraviolet. So this was something that I was fully aware of, that they light activated compounds. So the light just reacts with the catalyst, and then the catalyst makes the thing harden. So anyways, in this case, I totally understood that. So as I'm looking through the examples they're showing of how to use these LEDs, I see one on dentistry. The thought of using blue LEDs to harden the filling. Well, I could understand then that I could make a device, and I kind of calculated in my brain, hey, if I made a device for about $2,000, I mean, that's probably only the dentist would only have to do 50 visits, 50 tooth fillings to pay for his light. So I figured, hey, that's where you could get a $70 LED in, and I could actually make a profit after I added all the other costs. Now, I made my first device. This is actually it here right now. Actually, this is not the first device. Sorry. The first device looked really, really ugly. Okay. I had a blue LED in the end of it, and I had wires coming off the thing. And I said to my dentist, here, I want you to fix my filling with my new light. And she was like, she saw the wires hanging off of it, and she says, you really think that's going to work? I says, absolutely. I know it's the right wavelength. I've tried it on this compound, and I know it should work. She said, well, what if the tooth breaks down? If it falls apart, it doesn't work. I says, look, I'll sign anything. Just try my light. And I convinced her. And so she used my light on my first filling, and I cured the filling in about a minute's time with my new LED. Well, when she started testing everything that she did with her pokers and that, she said, this is excellent. I decided then that was going to be the new use for these blue LEDs, is to put them inside of the device. So I came up with this device here. It's called the Blue Wand, and you actually put the nice thing is it wasn't one of these big curved things that you had to widen your mouth open real big. You could just, this nice slick design, you can see there's an LED in the tip there. And although I don't have this one charged up, you would just throw it in the charger, and there was no contacts to wear out. It was like the magnetically charged toothbrushes, but there was no magnetic charged toothbrushes at that time. I'd come up with that concept as well to charge my light, so they could just drop it in there and charge their unit while they're doing their next patient, and as soon as they need it, they pull it out and it's fully charged all the time. So they could do almost 100 teeth with one charge on this. So, but when they kept it charged in the charger, they could operate it all day long. They would never run out of energy. So this was the device, and you would just slide it in, and the blue light comes out the end of this and at the back of the mouth. We made it's called, there you go, you can see Blue Wand. and you would set the time. You'd push the start button here, and you'd set the time for 3 or 5 or 10 seconds. This was the faster, even faster cure model that you could use. Well, I did this for about 3 years. We sold it to quite a number of dentists. It barely paid for the employees, but it did paid for overheads. But you know, the person that ends up getting left with the least in the end is the owner of the company. And so it didn't do a lot for us financially, but barely got us through. Well, those units now, I mean, that's typical. This is the same technology, and it's got a blue LED in there. And you may have you probably had a filling done by that. So it has the LED is back in this back area here, and when I turn it on, there you go. There's your blue LED, and it's curing the white filling. So that's the new technology. Now, I didn't make this. This is now standard kind of thing that all your dentists will have, but I developed the first one. And my competitor, at the same time, my competitor was 3M. And 3M was not a very nice competitor because they made a far more money on their compounds that they put in the teeth than the light itself. So even though they sold their light for $2,500 or $2,300, and mine was $2,300, they obviously made the killing on the compound itself. So I mean, and I made my light in North America, and they made their light in China. And so my light cost me $500 to build. They probably made theirs for $10 in China. So they were willing then to give away their lights to their customers as long as they bought a $1,000 or $2,000 worth of the composite material. And so that's where where I started, you know, with the powerful blue LED. So I knew by what we were doing is that this light, the blue light, was 465 nanometer, was the exact right wavelength to photoactivate the compound in the tooth. And I had no problem believing that. So about now it's got to be close to 17 years ago, after I had this on the market, my wife and I went in to see this one doctor. And again, I was trying to see whatever way I could help her. And there was, as I mentioned, we were at this now for many years, trying to get her. I was trying to get her better. So we saw a lot of different people. And so I went to see this one doctor, and he thought outside the box. He was a regular MD, but he definitely would figure things out. And so I went in to see him with my wife, and the very first time I met with him, he was asking my wife a whole pile of questions, and he said to her, he said, so, you know, of your medical condition and everything, is there any stress that's in your life? Well, you'd have to know I'm self-employed, right? I'm causing lots of stress. So she went and said, it's him. He's the stress maker. So he turns his focus over to me and he says, so what do you do? And I said, well, I make this very, very powerful blue light that we have on the market for dentistry. And he says, can you make that in red? And I'm like, why red? He says, well, red is the right wavelength, 635 nanometer, to photoactivate a drug that kills. And you'd have to know me by then, is that, you know, or you know that there's a big problem. And, you know, if I could have a solution to help people with, wow, because, you know, we've all lost loved ones to. So I asked him more questions about that light, and as it was, he was all lined up to go out that day and buy 10 of the laser pointers, you know, like these. Let's see here. We got that. Oh, yeah, there you go. These laser pointers. He was going to put 10 of them together with elastic bands. And I said to him, look, I can do much better than that. Can you wait 3 weeks? And he said, sure, sure. So he had 2 patients lined up with this particular drug called 5-ALA, and he told them to just wait. And he had done all the research on how this light can photoactivate this drug and kill the cancer. So it's a really neat drug. 5-ALA is the precursor to creating the iron in your blood. Everybody's got 5-ALA in their body, a small amount of it. And 5-ALA, once you, so the next step of 5-ALA is what's called a porphyrin molecule. And that porphyrin molecule is something that is the next step of it is to get the iron in the center of it. And when it does, that becomes the iron in your blood. So everybody has this going on inside their body. And the thing about it is when a person takes, let's say you had skin, you would put the 5-ALA on the skin, and then you would wait 4 hours, and then you would shine red light on that what's happened. So the 5-ALA has converted to what's called porphyrins, and now a porphyrin is an unstable molecule that is just ready. It's got an O1 hanging off of it, so a singlet oxygen. Now, if you know chemistry, O2 is what we breathe. O1 is very oxidative. Okay, so they even make special bleaches out of this singlet oxygen. But what happens is if you had cancer, let's say a little spot of cancer, you would smear this cream over the whole area like that, wait 4 hours, and then you would shine red light on it. And when you did, it would kill very selectively just the cancer, because that singlet oxygen that's hanging off of the molecule before it becomes the heme, the iron and the heme in your blood, if you hit it with red light at the 4-hour mark, it breaks this molecule apart, releasing the singlet oxygen right inside the cancer cells. So selectively, if you had cancer here and you smeared this 5-ALA cream over the whole area and you shone red light on it over this whole area, the cancer cells hang on to the 5-ALA, create a lot more of these the 5-ALA that's smeared on will create a whole pile of extra singlet oxygen, a lot more porphyrins. So when you shine the red light on it now, it breaks that molecule apart, releasing a singlet oxygen right inside the cancer cell. And when it does, it just kills the cancer cells. It's phenomenal. It's called PDT, photodynamic therapy. So when he said that this process would happen but he needed red light, he was going to use these 10 red laser pointers, put them together with elastic bands, and treat the cancer. And I says, no. Just can you just work with me? Hold off for 3 weeks. I need 3 weeks. And I had several employees at the time, and we put all hands on deck, so to speak, and we built the first high power red LED. It was a cluster of LEDs that we mounted of these high power red LEDs inside of a shower head, and then we put power supply to it and liquid cooling, because the amount of heat that come off of these little LEDs, I needed to cool them. So we were able to use that light to photoactivate the porphyrins. So these porphyrin molecules, as soon as you hit it with the red light, it starts working on the molecule, vibrating the molecule, and the molecule breaks apart, releasing the singlet oxygen right inside the cancer cells, and the cancer cells can't survive with that. So we were able to clean up selectively with that, and as it worked out, all hands on deck at our shop. and we built the first high power liquid cooled LED red LED cluster that could be used. So you could smear on the cream and wait 4 hours, and then you could treat it with the light and kill the. But not only that, you could also take it orally. So you could take this 5-ALA orally. It goes through your stomach and ends up going through your whole body. And where you would have the it would collect a high amount of these, creating a whole pile of these porphyrins. And these porphyrins, as soon as you shine light from a bigger cluster, would kill cause the singlet oxygen to break, the molecule to break apart, releasing the singlet oxygen right inside the cancer cell. So this was, I thought this was mind blowing to be able to see this, and I was totally committed because I lost people in our lives in our network to cancer, and I thought, wow, if I can build a powerful enough light to go deeper into the body, activating this drug and killing cancer. And for the next 3.5 years, him and I worked together. But the very first, sorry, I skipped ahead. So in 3 weeks to the day, we delivered the first high power liquid cooled LED system. And that LED, then the LEDs, cluster of LEDs would photoactivate the compound and kill the. So I was elated when we got a chance I was working with this doctor. Now, I had no idea of the whole area of medical in that realm because to me, in all of the other work that I did, you build something today, you use it tomorrow. You don't build something today and wait 20, 30 years for it to come out. And so I didn't have that understanding. And working with this doctor, I didn't think there was a problem. I really didn't understand the medical landscape very well. But even at that point, before I started, if you'd have told me I'm going to shine red light on your shoulder and you're going to get rid of the pain, I would have told you you're smoking something. There's no way that light is going to do anything. That was where my mindset was at. So, anyways, I built that first light, and he had 2 patients. Dr. Strobel was his name, and he a guy with throat cancer on his throat that had failed the normal cancer treatments, and a woman who had really bad breast cancer. And we were able to use our high power red light to photoactivate this 5-ALA that was taken orally and clean up the cancers on these 2 patients. And I thought, oh my gosh, the world is going to open right up for us. Had no idea that the system that's set up is very much opposed to new types of treatment. And so chemo and radiation is very much, and surgery is very much accepted. But here we have something that could help clean up. And well, we worked together for 3.5 years, and he ended up treating a lot of patients. But now come back to how did I come up with this light technology to get rid of pain and inflammation? Well, what happened was this thing that was happening all the time in my back, with back pain every year or 2 years, severe back pain. And well, I had just finished building this light, and he was already using it for treatment of cancer. And those first 2 patients, we shrunk the cancers on both patients. And I thought the world is just going to blow right open because everybody's heard that everybody's got somebody who's been touched by. But anyways, I've had that's a separate company that I'm involved with, but we have to go through the regulatory, and it's just been stuck in this continuous circle. In the beginning, we were treating people with the light, but because of once I learned that how much trouble I could be in, or even if the doctor was looking after it, I needed to have all this light technology approved for cancer treatment, and we're still trying to move that forward. And we hope for the day when we have the right investment behind us to move that forward. But in this case, what happened is, so probably about 2, 3 months after I had developed that first very powerful red light, I don't know what I did. I must have picked up a paper clip off the floor or something. It wasn't anything major. And, that happens in the back, like, where the injury is. And I was in so much pain. And I think it was a couple days in when I thought, I wonder if that I had heard about light doing something as far as reducing inflammation. I thought, come on, how is light ever going to make a difference on the body and, getting rid of pain? But when you're in a lot of pain, you start thinking about what other possibilities are out there. So I was in a lot of pain at this point, and I thought, I wonder, and we had at that time started building more and more powerful lights. So I had a little bit bigger one, and I thought, well, I wonder. So I put it at the back of my chair, and I bet you my pain level was probably about an 8 out of 10. Like, it was extreme. But hey, I'm self-employed. I got to keep working. So I put this light behind my back and was working on the computer, putting up with the pain at the same time. And about 20 minutes later, I'm thinking, what's going on? I don't feel that pain, the sharp stabbing pain. And so I got up and I was able to almost touch my toes. And I could bend, I could move this way and that way. Now, I still had pain, but my pain level probably dropped from an 8 out of 10 to probably down to about a 3. It was still there, but nowhere near what I had. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, light can actually reduce the pain that much. And since I've been going to chiropractors and physios a good part of my life to try and get better, when I had these spasms going on, I thought, wow, what if it can help others the way it's helping? And the more I dug into it, the more people I helped. And that was like 16, 17 years ago when we developed the first lights. Now, my lights, just to give you an idea, this was so right in the early days, I really wanted to have a powerful light, but LEDs at that point were so expensive. I thought, how can nobody will buy one of my devices if I make it, because at $70 an LED, if I needed, 30 of them, nobody's going to pay that kind of money. I got to have a profit margin on top of that. So, who's going to pay, $8,000 for something that gets $10,000 for something that can, get rid of some pain? So what was really cool is I started working with LEDs, working with LEDs. I looked at, hey, what if I could take halogen light and somehow filter it so it had that red component, because it's the red and near infrared light that can penetrate into the body, and near infrared penetrates much deeper than red. So I was trying to figure this one out as to how how I could filter the light. And I had talked to McMaster University, I talked to the University of Toronto, and they were talking about these special filter materials. And I thought, wow, if I can somehow filter. So if you take a halogen bulb, however you pronounce it, and you put a filter in front of it that takes away the heat component, that's the far infrared wavelengths of 1350 nanometer and longer, then you wouldn't have that heat coming through. And these were very expensive filters. And I thought, there's got to be a way somehow. And I'm kid you not. So I'll back up a step. As a new Christian, well, I wasn't a Christian yet at that time, but I went to McMaster University, and I started digging into, Well, sorry, I got to go back just a little bit here. So what happened is I was very much involved in technology even back then. I had my own company before I went to university, and I made different devices that were on the market, like in small areas in the market. I made the device called the Robox, which was for rowing. It was an audio amplifier system that you could speak to the whole boat and tell them, go stroke, 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 and everybody hear it, but the others couldn't hear what was told to the all your crew. They wouldn't, because the noise would be blanket out any commands. So these guys could win the races. So I made the first audio amplifier system for rowing. And so, but in university, I tried to do that and a few other things. So that's a bigger story, but we won't go there. But what happened was I had heard that these guys had this audio visual program. It was called the Navigators, and they had 15 slide projectors, and they were all controlled by some kind of computer. I had no interest in hearing anything about the Christian message, the gospel, at that time. My life at that time was pretty messed up, but regardless, I wasn't interested. But I heard that they had something that was computer controlled, and that they had these slide projectors that are all computer controlled somehow, and a beautiful audio system. Well, I built my own speaker systems and audio amplifiers and all that as a kid. So I was really, really interested. And so what happened is I decided I'd go have a listen to this group called the Navigators and see this equipment. And I went in for learning about the electronics, and I walked out. I believe God got a hold of my heart at that point, and I did a 180-degree turn from there. But the very first thing that at that point was I was starting to read the Bible, Genesis. They said you should probably start in the New Testament. No. I wanted to hear how things were built, the creation story. So that I started in Genesis 1:1. Well, it's interesting. It says in Genesis 1:6, he separated the waters from the waters and called the space sky. Okay, so here I am trying to build a powerful light that would use halogen light, but how would I ever filter away the far infrared, which heats up your skin? And I'm trying to figure that out. And as I said, I got filter material from University of Toronto and McMaster University, and it was going to be extremely expensive. So I'm still not sold on this extremely expensive glass plates that we're supposed to use. And if I wanted to build bigger ones, I wanted to build one that could do my entire back at the same time because of what was going on. So I'm trying to figure that one out. And they, I started thinking about all these things, and I kid you not, I was in the shower one morning after trying to do all this research and figure out how I would filter the far infrared away from the beam of the halogen light. Because many of you, if you've seen that, you take a halogen bulb and you try and bring your hand close to it, you'll burn a hole in your hand very quickly. Well, maybe not a hole, but you'll burn your hand very quickly with a halogen bulb, a focused one. And so I'm in the shower, and I kid you not, I heard, have you thought of the vapor canopy theory? And I had been racking my brain, how can I filter this? And I heard, have you thought of the vapor canopy theory? Well, that vapor canopy theory is that there was a layer of water in the upper atmosphere. So that water from water, called the space sky, that water in the upper atmosphere would filter the sunlight coming through. And when the flood actually occurred, that layer of water in the upper atmosphere disappeared as coming down as rain. So we lost that layer of water. But before that, all light from the sun was filtered through this layer of water. And I knew this theory because in university, first year of university, By the way, first and only year of university, I was too caught up in the party scene in the first year to make it through, and there were several other things going on in my life at the same time, and I had prayed, I really wanted to go on for engineering and design things. That's what I love to do. But I didn't. I got 59.5% in at the end of my first year, and nobody would give me a 0.5% more so I could continue on. So I never made my engineering. But here I am. I get this revelation, I guess you could say, that he's separated the waters from the waters and called the space sky. I thought, what if I shine the light through a layer of water? And I thought, hey, I got to try that. So I stole two of my wife's lasagna dishes from her kitchen and put them back to back, and I put silicone around it so that I could have a pocket of water that was like 1/4 of an inch thick. So I put those two pie plates back to back, and I took the halogen light. I thought, okay, let's see how this filters, see if it does anything. Because imagine that if there's a layer of water in the upper atmosphere, it would filter the light coming through from the sun. So I thought, okay, I'll glue that, silicone it, and put them together. Put water in between the two Pyrex plates, and when I shone the light through the two layers of Pyrex to my hand on the other side, my hand was burning hot, just like normal. But when I lowered it down below the water level, so the light had to shine through the 1/4 of an inch of water, it took away all the heat. All the far infrared is absorbed in the layer of that water. Now, if you did it long enough, it would cause that water to boil. And so this wouldn't be very good. You don't want to make something that blows up after a while. So you have to cool it. So I had separate radiator that would circulate the fluid through to cool that in between, that water. But as soon as I lowered it through there, the light coming off the bulb was all the far infrared was removed, and now what you're left with was near infrared. And it was then that I made that same device, and I used it on myself, and so many people I was able to see helped. This is going back 16 years ago, and it wasn't until beginning of COVID, just before COVID, that I started thinking, hey, LEDs have come way, way down in price. It'd be a lot easier not to have this liquid filter. And so using water and a halogen bulb that's got a lot of heat, why not use LEDs? And now the price had come down to the point where I could start making things. And when we got locked down with COVID, I started making more and more designs because we couldn't sell anything. And I just went deeper and deeper into financial debt trying to make this happen. But we were able to see so many people helped over the years before that with the light technology, using a halogen bulb with a layer of water in between. I actually made a chair, I made a bed, I made the handheld version. Here's the handheld version right here. That was developed about 15 years ago. So it has a halogen bulb inside of it. You can see it there. And usually that would be burning hot right now if I put my hand up to it. But because of this, there inside is a layer of water. You might be able to see that. It's hard to see. But anyways, you'll see a little water line here. But there's water. There's a little layer of water in between, about 1/4 of an inch. And that's what filters all the heat from the halogen bulb away from when you put it on your skin like this. If you used a regular halogen bulb without that filter, you'd be burning your skin real quickly right where you put it. But because of that layer of water, so I really feel that God decided to use me to figure out how to use that. And we helped so many people with pain and inflammation in their body. And it was only the last, since the beginning with COVID, that I developed a number of different models using LEDs. And now you see them as I have the Palm like I have the Palm Professional, and that's got the red and near infrared light coming out of it here. You can't see it on the thing. That was one. The other one I built was a more powerful version of that red and near infrared, a 660, 810. And then I built another one, which was the Super Palm, which is the red and the 1050 nanometer wavelength. So I made these different devices, and we were able to see a lot of people helped with all kinds of conditions. So that's how I got to this point. Now, I just want to show you a quick video here of where we've been able to see this go. It's for you have the yeah. So this is a 5-minute video, and I'll show you 2 applications of the light, or 3 applications, but 2 main indications. One is you're going to see for Parkinson's, and you're also going to see how we've been able to see autism being helped with this light. So let's go for it.
So this is your 3rd treatment, Logan?
Yeah.
Max, you're helping?
Yeah, we're going to start 3 days a week.
3 days a week. What have you noticed with Logan so far?
So far, we just with the amount of self-induced behavior that's done, he's really calm right now.
One thing that's been going on a lot lately is he is like attached to me, and it gives me anxiety. Like I'm talking, he follows me everywhere I go. He's leaving me space now. He's down in his room watching his videos, and he comes up and gets a snack, and he goes back down.
Yeah, so we've noticed that with some other people with autism as well, like clearness, responsiveness.
Yeah.
Can I get a fist bump?
There you go.
Awesome, man.
I don't know how to explain it. I can't get the words out, but we've noticed a difference. Absolutely, yeah. All right, you want to say bye?
She's very excited to come.
Yes?
And that in and of itself tells me something. And she was telling Josh how she's very excited. She thinks this is going to really help her.
Oh.
So we know that there's a lot going on with the mind and the brain. And when I started researching this, after my in-laws got the handheld, I said, wow, there's more than just one research article about using this for individuals with autism, and there's one study about adults with autism. So I'm hoping that this therapy will also help us as we move towards it, and that's what I went to the Speller Center for. You know, I've been praying for, because I found feeling kind of stuck for months, you know? Like, what do we do for her? There's something else that can help us get her over the hump of things. And I don't know, God led us to you, so...
I am so glad you came into our lives.
Oh, hey. My wife is going to love this.
You came into our lives.
Oh, you had Parkinson's probably 8 or 9 years. When his physiotherapist suggested we try your helmet, which is much more powerful, we said, of course we would. So we've had tremendous results from it.
One of the things that I noticed immediately was sense of taste. And for somebody who's had no taste for 4 or 5 years, I was eating second helpings at the table. I also ran into an increase in smell.
Okay. So is your wife a good cook? Maybe I shouldn't ask that. There could be trouble.
Yeah.
Well,
She's a good cook.
he's put on about 5 pounds since he started the helmet.
Right.
Because he's eating more now, which is good, because with Parkinson's, because you can lose your sense of taste, a lot of people lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big improvement. And what was the other?
The increase in smell.
Yeah.
Again, I couldn't smell anything.
Yeah, that really surprised me when he could smell that. I think we found our best hope for keeping the Parkinson's at bay as long as we can through exercise and through the red light therapy. It's a great combination.
So she'd say, raise your right arm, and Terry would be able to respond better? Is that kind of the idea?
Yes.
And you've noticed a little difference too in expressions?
That was after the second session. That now he has a spontaneous smile, which he hasn't had in years. His face was always the Parkinson's mask, and now he has much more expression. And my family have noticed a huge difference in him with the expression and with engaging in conversation.
Right.
Because he was getting to the point where he would be sitting when we had company and very quiet and sometimes falling asleep and disengaged. We had about 30 people over Christmas Eve, And he was talking all night. And it was just great to see. And people were were commenting on how much more engaged and how he was like he was, 3 or 4 years ago.
I used to get these aches and pains quite a bit from all my joints. But now, virtually, I go out with no pain whatsoever.
And when you would come in after a walk, before the helmet, what would you do?
Yeah, before the helmet, I'd flop on the bed and be gone for an hour or so. But now I don't need to come in and lay down or anything. Basically, I just finish the walk and go on with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. So you've increased your energy through the use of the light helmet somehow.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful.
And one last thing that I didn't mention is that I find Terry walking a little more upright, because he does tend to stoop, and that was the major issue. But I've noticed since the helmet that he is walking a little straighter.
So it's really, really neat how the light now that we've developed using LEDs, which is far easier to do than the using the halogen light to produce the light power that we were looking at. We were able to see so many good results over the last now it's almost 16, 17 years now. But with now having the LED versions, it's so much easier to use and to have as portable and long life, not requiring service. We had to constantly service the other units. They last for about 2 years, but we'd have to top them back up with a special water filter. This is the helmet right now. This has 10 of the palm lights in it. And if I turn on the light, you can see here's the powerful red light on that. So that would just go like this. And we've had people improve in their situation with this light. 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared. And this is what the Parkinson's patients have been using, and also for other cognitive issues, the autism that you've seen. And we're not saying that we're curing, let me set that straight. We're not curing autism. We're not curing Parkinson's, but we're improving the lives of people that have issues with that. Now, what I didn't show you on this is it has the bright 660 nanometer light that you see here, and then the other wavelength is the 810 nanometer, which is hard to see. You see some dots there, but actually that's the same power. It's just that your eyes can't see that wavelength. That's why it can penetrate much deeper, because it's in the near infrared band. So that is really something that light can actually penetrate quite deep, but it has to be in the red and near infrared spectrum. So here's, I'll just show you, this is, we call him Alfred. I'm very thankful to Alfred, who gave his life for science. Well, I think he died first, but Alfred would like to say hi. Hi. Anyways, Alfred, this is a real skull here. And just some would say, hey, how is it possible that light's going to penetrate this hard bone skull that you see here? Turns out that red and near infrared light can actually penetrate quite well. So you can see here, I'm just going through here. Might be a little, so I'm just holding this thing in here. You can see look at the suture. These are the sutures, the parts which join various parts of your skull. But if I shine the light on the other side, as you see here, you can see the light going right through the skull. So 660 nanometer, you're seeing it right now. But if I switched it to 810, which is nearly invisible here, there's actually 20 to 30 times, anywhere from 10 to 30 times more light that comes through with the near infrared. So near infrared 660 wavelength, 660 nanometer wavelength can go through the skull, through your hair, through your skin, and into the skull and into the brain. Now the 660 would go into the get into the inner wall of your skull and outer surface of the brain, and actually improve the blood flow. You can, and then that's very, very beneficial to increase the blood flow in the brain. And the other thing is inflammation. The light can actually, so 660, if we went to the 810, this can actually help with reducing inflammation as well. So this is the 810 nanometer. Doesn't look very impressive, but we have different models. We have this. We have the Palm Professional. The next one up is the Palm Ultimate. It has 660 nanometer, the bright red, and 810. And then we have the Super Palm, which is the unit that has the 1050. It still has the red, but then it has the 1050 nanometer on it, which then can possibly even penetrate a little bit deeper. And there's other mechanisms that can be had. But that light can go into the skull and help the lymphatic, or they call it glymphatic system in the brain, which helps get rid of the toxins. So you not only stimulate blood flow, you reduce toxins, you're giving energy to the cell, the mitochondria, which is the power plant of the cell. And then not only are you giving energy to the power plant of the cell, the mitochondria, but you're doing a whole host of different chemical reactions that are going on. So it's really, really beautiful. And what's common amongst the different conditions, strokes, concussions, Parkinson's, brain fog, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's. What's common amongst all those things? Well, what's very common is you have inflammation on the brain. And if, even with autism, if you're able to reduce that inflammation, the brain is able to work a little bit better. So guess what? We have, with our Palm devices or the helmet, we're able to put light into the brain, and deeper even with the 810, but I say 660 and 810 or 1050. Those, the red and near infrared both work very, very well together. And for the brain treatments, we're looking at 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared light. So you look at the spectrum here, we're not in the blue, green, yellow range. We're in the red and near infrared, which you can't see. So that's why when I turn on the near infrared, you can't see very much of it. But the near infrared actually penetrates a lot deeper into the body. So very, very beneficial to reaching into the brain and giving energy to the power plant of the cell, the mitochondria. And then there's all sorts of neat reactions that can come from there. So I was going to play, well, you know what, we'll go right to the questions because we are later tonight. I ended up talking longer, but I thought, hey, you might as well find out a little bit of the story of how we ended up, by the way, we ended up working on the stuff for 3.5 years, the doctor and myself, Dr. Strobel. And unfortunately, we started, I think it's part my fault. I started making a lot of noise about what we were doing. I told a lot of people because we were seeing people being helped with. And so we ended up working with 3.5 years together, and we in his clinic he treated over 50 people, and unfortunately fortunately he was very healthy. Unfortunately, I was making a lot of noise, so was he, about how we were ending up to help people with. And he ended up at 52 years old. I'd say he was the epitome of health, like probably the top 1% of health. I mean, he was very fit. And anyways, he died in his garden while gardening. You can make out what you want out of that, but it ended up, we were going to do a great big study with China and with Health Canada and with a big hospital. And unfortunately, he died. And so it hasn't, although we've had some people being helped with this, it's been an extremely limited form of being able to move forward. The first 3.5 years, I wished he was still here with us. we would have seen a lot more happening by now. But regardless, that's another company. It's got nothing to do with my SunPowerLED and Kerber USA and that. So anyways, separate company altogether. And we hope for the day when we'll get approved by the FDA and Health Canada. And we really hope that'll happen. But anyways, I'll start answering some of your questions here. Yeah, he died in his garden while gardening, if you can imagine that. And it was a really tough time to see that all happen. I think we'd be, well, so anyways, first question that I've got here. Okay. Hi, Alan. My daughter started having seizures after the jab, and doctors can't figure it out. And they're trying to help her. Anyways, so it turns out that you asked if there's anybody else using it for problems of seizures. Yes, we've been able to see people with seizures, with brain fog, with different things, helped by using the light therapy. Now, everybody's different. I'm not a medical doctor. I can't promise anything. You know, you should talk to your doctor if you want to check things out. But he or she probably does not know anything about photodynamic therapy or in this case, photobiomodulation, using light to penetrate deep into the body. And we have that kind of light. And in the early days of the stuff, they kept throwing things back at us that you can only penetrate, you know, a quarter of an inch into the body with light, because they had this equation that's light can only penetrate. The useful form of light is only 1 over E, which 2.7, 1 over 2.7, which is 1/3. Like when the light drops 1/3. Well, if the light starts off with 1,000 times, then by the time you go through 1 centimeter, you know, and you lose 10 times that, you still have a considerable light that can go for the next centimeter deeper. And so here's the light that is only supposed to penetrate a couple millimeters. It's going right through my hand. That's the red. And if I show you with the near infrared, and I put a power meter on this side, I can measure how much light is going through. And in this case, there's could be anywhere from 10 to 30 times more light going through my hand on a wavelength you can't see very much. It's almost invisible. And if you're talking the 1050 nanometer, you can't see it at all. So it's very, very possible that we've seen some people, one person in particular, he was able to be seizure free for over 2.5 years. So it's very possible to help with seizures and other types of things. I mean, everybody is different. And as I said, I can't diagnose or anything like that. I'm not a medical doctor. But I can tell you there's a lot of new doctors that are on stream with what we're doing. And they're using our light technology and helping a lot of people. So thank you, Alan, for your question. And is it possible? Yeah, it's possible it can help. Has there been any work done with humans who have parasitic infections? Yes, that is very possible with light. And actually, ideally, it's called using a substance like methylene blue, which is if you want to look up a website called www.methyleneblue.red, it's very it reacts with the red light, methylene blue, and you can learn more about that. And it's very, very helpful to other kinds of problems within the body. Methylene blue, if it's taken at the right concentrations, can be very, very helpful. And as a matter of fact, it's photoactivated by the red light. I'm going to get through questions here for the next 10 minutes, and then I think we're going to call it quits, but I'll try and get through them as quickly as I can. Okay, Ronald's asking me, I use the Super Palm on various joints and places on my body. So I have the unit running for about an hour. Is there any time limit for running one palm device continuously? No, as a matter of fact, you could run it 24/7 for the next year, and the light output will only decrease slightly. So the LEDs can, they're really built, the way we've designed our unit, the LEDs run quite cool, so they have a very long life. We believe in keeping our light, like our lights, to make them so they last a long time. And we do have a 1 year warranty on our Palm Professional and Palm Ultimate. If you go to any of the other products, the Super Palm or the Canopy or the helmet, there's a 2 year warranty. And anyways, that will there's no issues of the light lasting a very long time, unless you drive over it with a car or throw it down the stairs or something like that. That probably will shorten its life. But generally speaking, we try and do our best with the light, and sometimes, hey, things happen. So if something happens to it, we'll stand behind the product. We like to keep all our customers happy, even if you go past the warranty. As long as you haven't driven over it with a car, we'll see what we can do about getting you fixed up again at a minimal cost. So, Brian, thank you, Brian, for your wonderful comment here. He says, Tom, brilliant, best webinar yet, pure revelation. So he was wondering about a Fresnel lens, if a Palm Ultimate or could be magnified by putting a Fresnel lens. Unfortunately, no. You can't focus light. The only time you can focus light is when you start off with a small point source of light. So in this case, if you had a source like this, you can put a lens behind it, and yeah, you can keep the beam concentrated more. There'll still be getting a little larger. But when it comes to several points of light, I got pretty excited about getting lenses and everything, and I found out that you have several points of light and you shine them through a lens, you'll end up with another set of points of light on the wall. It doesn't help concentrate anything. You have to start with a small, small point source. And so, no, we cannot concentrate the light more. Colleen is asking, does Tom answer questions on this webinar, or is it pre-recorded? No, we do. Sorry, I got into the questions later. My apologies. We're going to go for a little bit longer here, Colleen. And we try and answer the questions as quickly as we can. Can we go down and scroll down here, please? Okay, Susan is asking, I've heard, thank you, by the way, people, for sending us questions like this. I'll try my best. So I've heard that people have blue light panels. Does blue light do anything? Yeah, blue light is something that can be beneficial, but there's no penetration. Oh, hang on just for a sec. There's no penetration in the skin. So it's a very surface type condition. A very surface type light, because blue light does not penetrate. It is very shallow penetration, so it does help with some skin conditions, but it's very limited. And unless you really have a very surface skin condition, you want to be in the red, near infrared spectrum, which then helps to penetrate a lot deeper. So Russ, thank you, Russ, for your comment. Thanks, Tom, for the history and how the Lord helped you. Help many people. Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you see people being helped, I'll tell you. I just wished I could totally help my wife all the way, but she's gotten a lot better over the years. We still got some issues. So for those that pray out there, I still appreciate prayer for my wife. So yeah. So John is asking, my wife asks, does it help with hair growth? Absolutely. If you've lost all possibility of hair follicles, Generally, it's not something that can be restarted. But if you have any hair follicles that that aren't dead, it's possible to bring on hair growth. And we had somebody who was totally bald, a woman, that she had to wear a wig, and she started using the light for her condition. She didn't have that was not her. She had a lesion on her brain, and she helped herself improve her situation. But as she was treating her brain, a side effect was her hair growth came back, and she had to go to the the hairdresser, to get her hair cut. So, yes, if there's some kind of hair follicles left, it's possible to stimulate those hair to grow hair again if they aren't totally damaged by whatever method. Okay, question here from Henry. How long per day would you use it on a person? First of all, on an area, probably the like if you're trying to go deeper in an area, you could spend 10 minutes of the red and 15 minutes of the near infrared, or 5 if you're short on time, do 5 minutes of the red and 10, 15 minutes of the near infrared. Let's say for something like a deep hip issue, you can then use it all over your body. That's not a problem. But as far as it really, people can treat. Most of the benefit comes depending on the depth that you're trying to go. So if you're trying to just treat your fingers, which are very shallow, 1 minute of the red, 1 minute of the near infrared would be something that could be helpful. So not a problem with short treatments on your hands, but if you're trying to treat your hip, you're going to need to spend a lot more time, and of that time, spend 2/3 to 3/4 of the time with the near infrared, because the near infrared is going to penetrate much deeper. Thank you for your question. So question from Marilyn, is the Palm Professional sufficient to use for macular degeneration as opposed to the Palm Ultimate? Yeah, there's no problem, because the people that we've been able to see people being helped with wet macular degeneration, wellness in the eyes here. We're not a cure for anything here. So it helps with the wellness of the eye, but it does, we've seen people with wet macular degeneration, even getting the shots, improve their vision, and dry macular degeneration. So it's very, very possible. And we've had people actually get rid of their readers. Now, I would probably be able to do a little bit better if I treated myself, but there's that saying that the shoe repair person, his family doesn't have shoes, that he doesn't have enough time to do look after himself for his shoes or his family. Sometimes that happens. So I'd love to be able to get into a routine where every morning I treat my eyes, but I'm still using readers. But when it comes to people that have used the light on a very regular basis, and they can use it with their eyes closed. So that's with the eyes closed, you're doing 1 minute of the red, the bright red. And if you find it a little too uncomfortable, you can always pull it back a little bit, but do what you can, and then switch it to the near infrared and do a 1 minute of that with the eyelids closed. Okay. So definitely with the eyelids closed. Just think of it this way. This unit has between 100 milliwatts and 150 milliwatts per square centimeter. So in that case, that's the sun puts out 100 milliwatts per square centimeter. And although that's over the whole rainbow that you see behind me, the whole spectrum, we are having all of that power in the red and near infrared, which can go through the eyelid, but because the eyelid diffuses the light in all directions, it's quite safe. So you're not getting, even if you could lay out on the sun for an hour, 2 hours and have your eyelids closed, and you won't damage your eyes. When you have your eyelids closed, it does a nice job of diffusing the light, so you don't have any super hot spots on the back of the eye and damage the retina. So that's one way of helping your eyesight health. So in your case, the Palm Professional has plenty of power if you're just dealing with the eyes. No problem there. So as far as how long would you use it, depending on the area of the body that you're trying to treat. If you're trying to treat something very shallow, if you're trying to go through your cheek and treat your jaw, you might be looking at a couple minutes red and 4, 5, 6 minutes of the near infrared, and you can help issues with even abscessed teeth. We've been able to see people avoid having pain because of that. And we've actually had some people that they have not needed, they've done the treatment for quite a while and they haven't had to go to get a root canal. So it's been, it can help reduce the inflammation and help the healing process. Okay, we got Janelle. Between the Super Palm and the helmet, which do you recommend for stroke pain stemming from an ischemic stroke? Okay, in the thalamus 3 years ago. Basically, what are the pros and cons of each for that scenario? So we've had people with strokes being helped, and obviously a person can use the Super Palm or the Ultimate 10 different locations on their brain, on the skull, which will go into the brain. It is a lot easier to use the helmet. So the helmet is just 10 of the palm lights equally distributed over the whole head. So it's very, very quick to do treatments that way. I can see wow, we've got a lot of questions, and I know I ended up talking a little long here, but I'll tell you what, we'll go for a few more minutes and then we'll call it quits. But we will get a copy of your questions here, and we'll try and answer them through emails. Wow, thank you for all the questions. This is a great bunch on tonight, and I do ask that you go to www.sunpowerled. You can go there and watch some of the other videos for the watch some of the videos and learn a lot there, because I do have doctors on, I have researchers on, I have chiropractors. There's just a whole host of different people that I have on, and people that are lay people who have used the light for different parts of their body and seen real improvement. So there's those there. Also want to mention, please go to, if it's a little easier format to look at videos, is if you go to our YouTube channel and just search for SunPowerLED. And we have over 100 videos there that are recorded. And please go to SunPowerLED and give us a like. That really helps us. Okay, like or share with others. We would love that. So that's at our YouTube channel, where you can learn a lot about coming from other experts in the field. So I'll go on to a few more questions here, and I think we're going to call it quits. Thank you for everyone for joining us this long. And I tell you, even if you went off earlier, you'll still be entered into our contest. At the end of the month, we'll do another draw for one of the palm lights. So okay, this is from I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Daria. I'm guessing. My husband and I have been both suffering from brain fog for the past nearly 4 years since having COVID in 2021. Our interest in trying your helmet. We wondered if we can also treat other issues, neuropathy. Yeah, the different issues on the body. I've got people that not only treat their head with the helmet, but they'll put their knee in there, they'll put their hand in there, because the light is quite beautiful, the energy level that we have coming out of it. So it's possible to treat other parts of the body. And thank you for your questions. Thank you everyone for your questions that you've been sending. So have you, Matt is asking, have you encountered improved outcomes when people are using methylene blue with your PBM devices? Yeah, we've got some pretty neat things that are happening when there's combination. It's just like you put more things in favor of having a good outcome. As a matter of fact, red, if you go to the www.methylblue.red, you will see, why the reactive curve is like that, and it's right in the middle of the red, right there, 660 nanometer wavelength of light is the right wavelength to photoactivate the methylene blue and cause it to do other beautiful things when it comes to the electron chain transport. Okay, so thank you very much for your question. And other people are saying thank you. And another question here from John, or not, well, we'll see if it's a question or not. John is mentioning, hi, Tom, thanks for your openness. Very comprehensive presentation. If cost is not an issue, which device would you suggest for the family for general use, treat issues with as they and we age? Yeah, I don't know about this aging thing. It does seem to cause other issues in the body. But John, I would say that ideally would be the use of the. I just find the Super Palm seems to be giving even more results. But if you're tight for cash or whatever funds, the Ultimate does do very, very well. I just think that there's an edge to the using the 1050 nanometer. John, thank you for your prayers for us. I really appreciate it. Susan is saying you have a fascinating story, Tom. Thank you again. Praise the Lord. Joe is asking, is it safe to use on male privates and increase blood flow? Hey, as a matter of fact, there's really interesting results when it comes to increasing blood flow. And for the private parts, there's my chiropractor said, Tom, you're missing the biggest part of the market. That's a fellow by the name of Ed. Anyways, it turns out that he said he was quite surprised that after a month how much things were better for him. And one of his friends, he passed it over to him, and his friend mentioned the same thing, that he was pretty surprised as to how well things worked more the way they were designed to work. So I'll just leave it at that. So yeah. Does it help with tinnitus and brain fog and brain inflammation? From Alan. Yes, Alan. With tinnitus, we've been able to see right now it's 9 out of 12 people have had significant improvement in their tinnitus. We've had people with that have 3 of those 12 people did not respond at all. So, I mean, it's hard to say for sure if every, it might be certain things that are bound into the tinnitus, but 9 people out of 12 have been helped directly that I know of. And I know there's others that have had seen things. Okay. So the question from Brian is a good one. Tom, what about people with super thick hair? Would it be better to thin out the hair a little bit for PBM treatment? Extra hair, maybe heating up the hair, bouncing back. Yeah, there's definitely more light used up through the hair, but you still can treat around there and some of the lesser parts if you have very heavy hair. But now I won't suggest to you go shave and get bald, but bald people in this way have an advantage over those that have real thick hair and this. So if they, I wouldn't necessarily suggest that unless you really want to get your brain better, I guess. So Matt is asking which palm device is best to use to treat tinnitus or tinnitus. They call it both ways. I can tell you that any one of the three units would work. There's just, again, seems to be a little bit more with either the Ultimate, or because it's 25% more powerful, or the Super Palm for different issues. But I wish I could guarantee, but I can't. Question from Marilyn. For the eyes, 1 minute of each, but how many times a day? You can treat up to 3 times a day, but I would start slower. I would start like, if you're at all concerned, start with 30 seconds once a day. Next day, go up to 1 minute, and then you could extend that to several times a day. So thank you for your questions. Wow, we have such a line of questions here. I am very thankful that everyone has tuned in and has stayed tuned in to me talk here. But I want to encourage everybody, please tell your friends about this. I know that lowers your chances of winning Ultimate, but hey, let the others know about this, and somebody's going to be winning the Ultimate. And it's kind of neat the times where we've had people win the Ultimate, and it's like they really needed it. So even in our random drawing, somehow it works out that the right person ends up with the light. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. Went way over time here. I usually I wanted to say that for those, there was a really good program. We're hoping to have it on we're going to bring it on our website. Sam, we got to bring it on our website. Steve Kirsch did an interview of me, and we had Dr. Ryan Cole on Thursday night of last week, and it was a really cool webinar or interview. I see another quick question here that can red light be used to treat glaucoma? So far, we've got to treat, help, however you want to call it, eye health. We've seen a couple people now that have improved with their glaucoma, reducing the pressure on their eyes. But again, I would be very, very careful on treating the eye. Definitely with the eyelids closed, everybody, and 1 minute of red and 1 minute of near infrared. So Colleen. Wow, just run down slowly. Colleen, John, Marilyn. I'm sorry I can't get to some of your questions, and Marilyn talks about saw it on Steve Kirsch's program, so you can, fantastic. And Brian's saying, Tom, thanks so much for all your research over the years. You have discovered something that will help all humanity. That's pretty cool. So anyways, God bless you. Thank you, Brian, for the comments, because I tell you, it's been a lot of hard years of difficult times. And if it wasn't for my wife's illness and my back pain, I don't know if we would have come down this path to end up developing this technology over the last 16 years. Thank you, Colleen, for your comment. Alan, So, wow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I want to wish you all of God's richest blessings. Amazing that you all hung in. So many of you hung in to this part of the program. But remember, please, I would have so much appreciate if you guys went on SunPowerLED on our website. You can learn a lot of stuff on our research. On the research tab, there's 7,500 research articles under PBM database. It's fantastic stuff there. Also, if you go to our YouTube page, we've got over 100 videos there. Please go to that, and we're going to just and please like our YouTube page. It helps us in getting more people to learn about us. So thank you so much for all of you that's joined us, to taking time out of your schedule to spend with us. So thank you, and may you be richly blessed. We're just going to finish off with a video here for those that want to see it. The two And listen, all the best, everyone. Have a good evening.
15 years back, I realized that light could make a huge difference on the body. I ended up designing this very powerful light using LED technology. With this amount of very high power density, it can reach through the tissues and travel right to the joints. But the key is that the power density and the area is extremely important to deliver that light into that. The mitochondria receives that light and converts that energy into the cell. So it's like giving the cell super high octane fuel, and they run like a jet, and they're able to do all the things for repair in that. What are the products we have? Well, we have a small device, which is actually large when it comes to light therapy. You have a fairly large area of light and a high power density that can be used for different parts of the body, like your fingers, shoulder, back, neck, knees, ankle, anywhere on the body. And then we have what's called the mini canopy, which is about a foot square in size. And then we have our full-size canopy, which is basically 6 of the mini canopies. And then we have another device, which is the helmet, and that device can help for mental issues, for brain injuries, for concussions, for PTSD, TBI, all of those kinds of things. And there's new research out there that shows it could be helpful for not only strokes, but dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, and just different brain issues. Our plans are to move this technology into every area of the world where there's pain and inflammation, which is basically everywhere, and to expand that so people understand all the applications where this technology can be used to help them in their health in the body as a wellness device. People are looking for how they can treat themselves without drugs. "15 years back, I realized that light could make a huge difference on the body. I ended up designing this very powerful light using LED technology. With this amount of very high power density, it can reach through the tissues and travel right to the joints. But the key is that the power density and the area is extremely important to deliver that light into that. The mitochondria receives that light and converts that energy into the cell. So it's like giving the cell super high octane fuel, and they run like a jet, and they're able to do all the things for repair in that. What are the products we have? Well, we have a small device, which is actually large when it comes to light therapy. You have a fairly large area of light and a high power density that can be used for different parts of the body, like your fingers, shoulder, back, neck, knees, ankle, anywhere on the body. And then we have what's called the mini canopy, which is about a foot square in size. And then we have our full-size canopy, which is basically 6 of the mini canopies. And then we have another device, which is the helmet, and that device can help for mental issues, for brain injuries, for concussions, for PTSD, TBI, all of those kinds of things. And there's new research out there that shows it could be helpful for not only strokes, but dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, and just different brain issues. Our plans are to move this technology into every area of the world where there's pain and inflammation, which is basically everywhere, and to expand that so people understand all the applications where this technology can be used to help them in their health in the body as a wellness device. People are looking for how they can treat themselves without drugs.